My name is Nelson Puentes. I own Inverted Gear.
I'm Matt Kirtley. I help out with Inverted Gear, and I'm also probably better known as Aesopian online, or the guy who can ban you on Reddit.
He wields the ban hammer on the jiu-jitsu subreddit.
Oh yeah. No, actually, everyone else does all the work.
Yeah,
I take all the credit.
Yeah, Matt just is in there for the memes.
What else is there?
Let's be real. So this is the concept. We're gonna play board games. I know this is not a board game. Me and Matt play Magic on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
As regular as we can. So we don't have much time to make it to the store these days. But we do play Magic with each other, especially Commander. That's why you see these giant decks here. These are Commander decks. 99 cards plus a Commander. My Commander today is Ahmed, Luck of the Rage.
I got Sakashima the Imposter.
And we'll talk about the rules a little bit without going too deep down this rabbit hole. What we're here for is talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And play Magic while we're at it, since it seems like most of our fans are pretty big nerds. I think people might enjoy this.
We've played Magic at the Globetrotter camps too. We ran a draft.
And then we got a few people that haven't played since, I think there's one guy, last time he played was like 1999, which was pretty cool. Oh,
Beat 11.
You did.
I'll play first.
Yep. So we roll the dice to see who goes first. I don't know, and that was an actual dice, not a life counter.
Why is that important, Nelson?
Because life counters are not randomized. And now we're drawing 7 cards, and we're gonna look at our hands, and we're gonna start playing, and hopefully start talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So start telling me what we're talking about while I mulligan.
So, hot topic of discussion lately, BJJ Scout has been putting a lot of videos out. Shout out to BJJ Scout, you mysterious, glorious bastard. Talking about leg reaping and how the way the rules has been enforced, it has been what's the word we're looking for here?
Inconsistent? Would that be a polite way to say it?
That's a very polite way to say it. Very inconsistent. So, what's your opinion on the subject?
On the inconsistency or on just the rule in general?
Let's start with the inconsistency, then we're gonna nerd out on what the changes should be.
I think you'll be better at spotting what the recent trend is. I don't follow sport jiu-jitsu that close. I think you're better at that than me, so I don't have any big examples in mind. But it seems like with any kind of these moves where there's a lot of there's more interpretation by the ref than you'd hope for something that seems straightforward. Then it always opens up the debate of, are they favoring certain athletes? Are they favoring certain teams, certain nationalities? But
yes. I definitely got away with some things while I was competing because people thought I was Brazilian.
Okay.
So I
think I can pull that off.
I don't know. You gotta work on your accent. So the thing is, the IBJJF rules. There's definitely is definitely open to interpretation. Definitely, since the game has advanced so much since the rules came into play. The position is a lot more prevalent than it used to be. So we're getting to see it a lot more, and now is so much more dynamic than it used to be. Like the way the entries are, the way people are setting up their entries, the way people are working once they have the leg entanglement and leg pummeling and re-pummeling and it's not just getting to a position of holding like it used to be. Now people are so aware of it and how to get in and out and how to counter that they're giving the ref a really tough job. And then if the referee is really not familiar with the ins and outs of the position, it's hard to in real time tell that line where it's a reap or not a reap, or where I gotta look at his legs, and at the same time looking at his legs I gotta look what is he doing with his hand. Is he wrapping around the ankle, and which ankle is he wrapping around, or while both bodies are moving and there's leg spaghetti going on. It's not an easy thing to do.
I missed my land drop, so go ahead.
Oh, nice. So
So I remember watching. There was a
Go ahead.
Gordon Ryan video where he was on Instagram is showing like, here's how I do things without getting disqualified if I want to go compete in
IBJJF.
IBJJF.
And like he's like I just went to the rules seminar and asked these questions.
Yeah, and so do you think that it's the overlap of like this mimic that over here?
Ooh.
Mimic that. Go ahead. The overlap of how popular all the reaping stuff has got that it's like people just don't want to have to figure out two completely separate games.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But yeah, like you said, the referee's now stuck with having to have a huge knowledge and be able to look at all these little things. Because, like, what about that one transition?
Grip that thing.
Oh, man.
Get that out of here. Get that out of here.
All right, anything else?
Pass.
Tap fuel, man.
Tap my lands. I'm sorry. Bush League.
All right.
So, yeah, like the referee definitely has a tough job because the way the rules are set up is just tough.
I still have no lands. What about that situation where you're in the knee bar and then you turn?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that thing?
Well, that's the thing too. Is like if we're on the knee bar and it's completely legal, and then not only if I turn, but if my opponent, depending if he turns which leg you're on, but depending what side he turns, you're going from a completely legal position to you ending up in a saddle or like a reap, depending which side you turn to. And like your reaction of where was the foot? Was it like in the center of your chest? Do you pass it on to the correct side, or do you end up on a reap because your opponent?
And can they do that faster than you can actually save yourself from the rule?
Yeah.
And then they do it to themselves.
And then also like a lot of times like guys are notorious for like being like knee bars. A lot of guys you really have to put it up for them to tap. So a lot of people like try to pass the knee underneath the arm.
Yeah, for that crank under the armpit knee bar.
Yeah, and then like we're doing that, and then they turn, and then they just DQ myself, you know. Pass.
Was the video that BGA Scout the one where they show a referee stopping a match and warning a guy, and the guy's trying to explain to the referee what happened and how he shouldn't really be in trouble? Was that the one?
There's a bunch of those. He's been posting a bunch of those, and then he's been posting like straight DQs. I mean, the other thing too is like the leg reaping rule has been around since we talked about it in one of the blogs. I think like 2007, right? Like I remember guys from Marcelo's getting DQ left and right for going into single leg X.
Yeah,
I remember Munch from Marcelo.
I remember when the rule was so strict that if the heel just went over your belly button, it was just over. To where it got to the point that people would try to get themselves reaped.
Yeah,
where you go, ref, look, and then the refs, I think, eventually caught on and they started warning or disqualifying the person who you would think the rules made to protect, but they were doing it to themselves.
Yeah, Tyler Tracker. Play land.
I'm gonna have responses to that Tyler Tracker. We'll force a will it. Pitching packer negation.
Oh look, what? A bunch of nonsense.
Take a life.
Can we do a deck check? See if cards are true legal.
They are.
Let me do my hideaway. Top 4. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So this is all just talking about off the premise that the rule is fine and that it's just hard to enforce. But is the rule fine?
Is the rule fine? Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's just hard. It's a hard rule to enforce, especially as the game evolves and becomes more dynamic, right? So it's a hard rule to enforce. In my opinion, as long as you're educated on what a reap is and you just bend your knee the way the reap goes, like we're not talking heel hooks here. That's the big thing where like people were like, oh, it's like your knee is not gonna explode from a reap.
Yeah.
Right. As like you watch kids sambo tournaments, these kids have been doing this forever, and like the legs still function.
So have you seen people get injured from a reap? Like not a heel hook, just the reap?
I have but they got injured because they got reaped, and then they just like straightened the leg out and were like, I'm not gonna bend my leg, and then their leg got bent because somebody went like whack.
So was it even the kind of injury that we're fearing for the reap, or was it really that weird?
Well, a lot of the injuries that were coming from reaping and like the heel hooks where black belts were getting caught in heel hooks and they didn't want to tap to a leg lock, and then they were getting really injured.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that it's like, oh my god, I got leg lock and I got injured. It's just like these competitive guys didn't want to tap.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, it's just an education thing, and we learn how to deal with the reap, and we learn is like, hey, like I'm not even saying heel hooks need to be part of like every belt level, like, you know, especially like the lower belt levels, they shouldn't be doing it. But once we have like a purple, a brown, a black belt, it's like you should know how to deal with a reap. You should know how to deal with with any kind of leg lock, including the scary heel hooks. And you should just know is like, this is how I escape. This is what I need to do to escape. If I can't do that, I need to tap. I just need to respect this the same way I respect an armbar. Like if I injure my elbow being a dummy trying to get out of an armbar, it's like I don't get mad at the rules, you know. I'm like,
what you casted?
That's what I gotta figure out what I want to do here. Go ahead. I'm gonna search for some lands in a second. Go for it.
I'm gonna do a desperate cryptic command here. I'm gonna bounce your Mosswort Bridge and draw a card.
I hate you.
So cryptic command is overpowered. We agree.
Yes.
Here's a slightly off topic to the reaping rule. What do you feel about the full art no text cryptic command? Is that a genius move?
So we're talking about a card that most people, especially at the beginner level, don't know what it does, and it's very complicated. Well, not complicated, but it has what, 4 modes?
You have 4 things you can choose, and you can choose any 2 of them, and they all sound like they shouldn't be legal if you just go, oh yeah, kind of that, and blah, 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 and draw a card and tap all your creatures.
So like they made this promotion and had like the card with no text. Just like, oh, it's like this art is so iconic, you should know what this does. And like most people are like, what did it do again? So then, like, if you're in a tournament setting, you have to like call the judge and have him read you what the card does, which is kind of silly.
I'm play propaganda.
Oof.
Go ahead.
End of turn, I'm gonna sack and get mountains.
Okay. So you said you don't feel like you really want the beginners worrying too much about it.
Yeah.
But by the time you're past into intermediate level, you think you should stop hiding from it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really think like once you're purple belt, like a lot of these things that you are being protected, you shouldn't be protected by the rules. Mm-hmm. So what do I mean by that? Is I should know, like my grappling should be good enough and well-rounded enough where I know where I'm in danger. I know if I get picked up, I might get slammed, and I need to let go or do something so that I can't get picked up.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a leg entanglement, I should know it's like, okay, my knee bends this way. If I like it to bend this way the rest of my life, I either need to tap or not let people do this to me.
Yeah. Remember at the Riley seminar, so how people sit in the 90-90 where their legs are folded to the side? Did anyone break their legs?
Yeah.
Anyone break their knee? Okay, you can get reaped.
Yeah. I still do that every time I teach at camps. I'm like, hey, like everybody do this. I'm like, all right, like now, take a deep breath. We gotta do it with somebody putting their leg over you, and like your heart is not gonna stop. You know. So, 3, 6. I'm gonna play. We're Ancient Dread.
Want to tell us what that does?
So whenever a creature with power 5 or greater enters your battlefield under your control, so my control, it does 5 damage to target creature or player. So every time I play a big fat creature, I get to smack Matt for 5 damage or one of his creatures.
And I never explained this. Propaganda just says he has to pay to attack me. For each creature, he's got to pay 2 mana.
Yeah, and then like we both kind of like had a very slow start to this game. So the people watching that are into Commander, we're sorry. We got way too into that leg reaping discussion and kind of didn't look at open hand too much. Go ahead.
All right. Let's go with.
So what would you change about the rules? Will you get rid of the leg reaping rule completely?
I feel like I want to, and then that opens up the other side of it, which is, well, then do you just bring in heel hooks anyway? Because like,
I think heel hooks and black belt would be fine. I really think purple and brown would be fine as well. But I think most people agree with me.
Wall. I'm gonna get back Force Will.
So
Go ahead.
So now Mag gets to counter something for free, which is annoying.
It's fair because I have to discard a card.
Oh, sure. Super balanced. So I think getting rid of the like reaping rule would free up a lot of RAM on the referees.
Mm-hmm.
And like just having to keep track of that imaginary line, and is the foot inside or outside? Is it like turning inside? All these things.
Who did it really?
Yeah,
Like,
who did it really? Who initiated it?
Mm-hmm.
Like all those things are kind of silly, and like people are getting DQ left and right for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it will free up a lot of that.
Doesn't something like Good Fight have reaping? Is there one of those events that has reaping at more
So
levels?
Good Fight was funny because I remember competing there and I had like a super fight with Tom DeBlas, and they wanted to do no gi, and then they wanted to do heel hooks but no reaping.
Yeah.
And then like I remember me and Tom DeBlas, we just looked at him like, "What are you talking about? Like that makes no sense."
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "It's like you can do heel hook without reaping," and then we're like, "Yeah, a shitty fucking heel. I mean, a shitty heel hooks." You can do for sure, yeah. Like but why are we doing this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like Tom's comfortable with leg entanglements. I'm comfortable with leg entanglements. Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're just what's the word I'm looking for? You're just putting like no, like he's making trouble out of this. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I dodged answering your question. I think reaping. This was like. I came from a school that did none of it. It was strictly IBJJF.
Mm-hmm.
My instructor was one of the main ref instructors. Like he taught referees, and so we just always did everything exactly by the rule book. And so yeah, like I almost never reaped anyone until started training with you, started training with Riley. And at first, if you're coming from where you're like, "I'll get you banned," you've seen people get yelled at in your gym for doing it. You're like, I don't want to get in trouble, and I've seen people get injured, but I can think the times I saw people get injured are largely
spinning the wrong way.
Ignorance. They spun the wrong way.
They spun the wrong way at the end tag when they should have. And then like now, the thing is like now we have these guys that started training the last 3-4 years after the heyday, like the leg locks became more mainstream.
Manowar.
Nice.
Mnemonic wall.
Ooh, look at you, all that value. So you have these guys that have been training in a world where leg locks were cool and leg locks were somewhat mainstream,
Get back cryptic command.
Oh my god. So you have these guys that are just so comfortable with leg locks because they've just been around it since they were white belts. So they know how to clear the knee line. They know how to leg pummel. They know when they're in trouble. They know how to hide their heel. Like hiding their heel is such an underrated skill set because nobody worked on it, because there was no need for it, because the way people looked at leg locks back then is like they would even like early EVIs, we would see these guys like putting people into leg locks. They would like get the leg entanglement and get the tap way before they even like dug the heel out.
Yeah, because people are just so afraid of
they were
what they were told would happen.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, my leg's gonna get shredded from here, But like you watch like now these guys compete and know what's up, and like they're hiding their heel. They're like the leg entanglement doesn't end it. They're like pummeling and repummeling and clear the knee line and transition from one leg to the other leg. So like the leg lock game in the last 5 years, like leaps and bounds, And then like all these guys that were there, like I've been working on it from early on. They're like so far. They were like so far ahead of the curve. Now everybody's just playing catch up at this point. So I really think like the next few years, I don't know what the IBJJF is going to do.
I don't think they'll change it. I think they don't. I mean, theoretically, I don't think they need to be so protective, but I don't see them changing it. I hope there's just more events that allow it because it's more interesting and more dynamic and has less fiddly referee decisions.
Yeah.
Oh. What you doing?
Green Warrior Murasa.
Cool. What's he do?
When it comes into play, I return a card to my hand. And let me make sure I keep my graveyard away from my lands before I get called out for cheating by all the internet. Mosswort Bridge comes back. Top 4.
So I'll explain Mosswort Bridge for everyone who doesn't know. It's a special land. When it comes into play, he gets to look at the top 4 cards of his deck and put one underneath it and hide it away. That's the special ability it has. And then later on, when you meet some special condition, you can play that card for really cheap. So I think the special condition is you have like 10 power creatures.
Yep.
So he's got halfway there. He's 5 power towards getting to play that, whatever that is, for 1 mana.
Go ahead.
All right. play an island, and
The other thing we are talking about before, or like we are mentioning this topic, was it's kind of silly that we have was it brown and black belt can knee bar, right? Knee bar and toe hold don't come in into brown belt. So way before that, you have ankle locks.
Okay, so my commander, it's going to be a copy of your guy.
Okay.
And I'm going to get back Clever Impersonator.
Okay. So you have ankle locks, but you have no knee bars. So there's all these situations where people are defending the ankle lock by turning their knee inside.
And this triggered.
And turning it. Ooh, 5.
You're going to shoot Man of War in my face.
Let's get rid of Man of War.
All right.
You have people turning their knees to defend the ankle lock, turning the foot and turning, and then it turns into a, like the opponent is like pops their hips in. Now it's a knee bar. Who's getting the cue? The guy had a completely legal ankle lock, and then the other guy turned it into a knee bar trying to get out. Or the guy didn't react in time. When the other guy turned, he was popping his hips in, and now he's applying a knee bar, even though that's not what he meant to do.
And as a referee, you can't always tell just because two people are moving at the same time, and you can't really feel the forces they feel.
Yeah.
So you don't know who really is the one going for it.
Yeah. So, like, that is just super iffy position because, like, everybody's like, oh, like especially when like we deal with like 50-50, like the ankle locks from there, like everything going on from there. Like I remember like a few like there was like an Atos guy and like Andrew. That's when like it was like a few years ago, like Andrew, like the guy got DQ. I think it's when Andrew jumped the barrier and like ended up getting kicked out, and like he couldn't even compete that weekend. So like it's happened before in a few high profile cases, and like like nothing has been done to fix it, which is the annoying part. Let me try to cast my commander. I attempt.
I might have responses.
Oh my god. 4/6.
Force the will. Pitching Ninja of the Deep Hour.
Okay, so I try to cast it once.
So in Commander, for those who don't know, you have these commanders. Like so, I cast this from over here. He casts that from over there. The way these work is your commander is a legendary creature from Magic, so it just means that it has a special kind of lore to it usually. And then when you build your deck, you can only make that deck the colors of your commanders. Like my commander is blue, so all the cards you've seen so far have to be blue. And then he's got this red-green one, so all his stuff has to be red and green. And then what's special is whereas when a normal creature dies, it goes into your graveyard. A commander, you can choose, say when it dies, it gets countered or whatever it would do to not be in play. You can just put it aside again and then cast it later. It just costs a little bit more. So you can keep having access to the main cards you built your deck around.
Very nice.
Explanation done.
So going back to the topic, I think if we have ankle locks, we should have knee bars.
Okay. I agree with that.
You agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
And then
I've never seen any injuries from knee bars, really. I mean, they happen, but not because they're so inherently part of a knee bar.
Yeah, it's just... I mean...
It's usually dummies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yes.
So yeah, I think if ankle locks are around, knee bars should be around, and we've seen now people like you were talking about who have done reaping since they were white belts or blue belts because I know at our gym people just got so into it when I don't know EBI or something got everyone all hyped up on it.
Between EBI and ADCC, yeah.
So they were seeing all these places where you could do reaping, and then we had people who were able to train with different Danaher guys or.
We had a Riley camp.
So we just started getting a lot of the guys that
like Craig Jones came through. So like there's been or gym. I mean, also we do the guys at the gym do a lot of cross training with Saga JM at 10 Planet Bethlehem and like those guys who
they do it all.
Like do it all, like City over there.
So we've had people from white belt who are now into their purple belts, or we've had blue belts who are in their brown belts who've done those the whole way through, because as soon as they could go to advanced classes, they can go to advanced classes where all that stuff is legal. Yeah. And no one's blowing their knees out.
No.
Because they all understand it. They're not being stubborn about it. And they were just taught, you tap to it like you tap to anything.
Yeah. And then like the other thing too is just like you need to recognize like, okay, this position is bad for me. 2, it's like, do I feel pressure on my knees? Like, oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure on my knees. Like, okay. It's like done. Like that's it. And then also being responsible and like any other submission, I'm not gonna rip this. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna have control over it, and then slowly I'm gonna build up my pressure. And then also like the upper belt do a good job about knowing where that line is. And like I understand that line is different for every person, but if you get to a point where like you're applying any submission and the guy is not tapping, you don't keep cranking. You just look at him like, dude.
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna make me break this, or you just move on and then have the conversation after the roll. Be like, dude, like,
which is the responsible way to do it, and that's what you should do with arm bars or any other submission. But for whatever reason, leg locks just rub people the wrong way, and they don't want to tap.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember, like not like less than a week ago, I had somebody. It was like one of those Sunday classes, and I got on like leg entanglement, and I was putting a lot of sideways pressure into somebody's knee, and I kind of stopped and looked at him and was like, dude, like, you don't think that's tight? And I like before I said that, like I loosened the pressure, and then he's like, oh yeah, that was super tight. I would have tapped if you would have had it if you held on to it. It was like, I'm aware. Also, if I held on to that, you're be on the way to the hospital now.
Yeah, this is the other day I had a white belt in their very first class come in, and we're learning arm bars, and I don't know what it was. They really did not feel any pain on an arm bar, and they were like, let me feel it from you. And I was like, okay. I put them in a really deep arm bar, and they're just like, I just don't feel it. And I was like, if I demonstrate this to you any better, you're going to the hospital. Like, congratulations for not having nerves in your arm or something, but just trust me, I've seen this enough.
It's like your arm's bending.
Your arm is backwards.
Yeah.
But just believe me.
Yeah, I remember having one of my students, he's a brown belt now, and early on, super flexible elbows to the point like he would get armbar, and he would like let his elbow bend their own way and then spin through it like hitchhiker, and like he would do it over and over again. I was like, is that you cannot get in this habit.
Did this ever backfire on him? Did it finally?
No, because I had the conversation. I was like, dude, one of these days, like this is gonna end up with a trip to the hospital. Is that you can only do this so many times, you know?
Yeah. Your turn.
On tap.
So I think we've covered reaping more than we need to. Plenty covered.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about?
Well, so there was a Flow Grappling article with Keenan and talking about how gi is more technical than no gi.
Sum it up for me. I missed it.
Goblin bombardment is pretty much that. That gi is much more technical. There's more techniques. The gi players are more technical because right now no gi is just turning into bad wrestling with lots of leg lock attempts.
Okay.
What's your take on this?
This is like the oldest debate in the world
that I've heard so many times.
So Goblin bombardment.
You're good on that.
And then Tail Striker.
Cool.
Thermorphic Spans.
Cool. Get your clue.
I get a clue token, and then I can sack this to draw cards. So I get it 1. And your turn.
Yeah, with the gi versus no gi, what's more technical thing? It's like, are we talking just current, like meta game for gi versus no gi, or like the concept of them as a whole?
Let's take like a zoomed out version and just pull back.
So I know where it comes from. It's like the idea is like, yeah, there's literally more things to grab, so you can invent more techniques in gi.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, like if we look big picture, you talking not we can define what technical is later, but technique wise, if we look at gi, we can do all these things, right?
Yeah, there are more techniques.
There's more techniques. Then we go into no gi, shrinks down, and then we go into MMA, self defense, whatever, street fights. You want to keep these. You want to be street certified. It's like less things you can do because if I'm in guard, I'm gonna punch in the face.
Yeah,
my guard's not working.
So if we're just saying the number of techniques makes something technical, then yeah, gi is more technical. But I don't feel like that's the definition of technical that is really valuable.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at a different sport. Let's look at sambo. Right? We have sports sambo. We have combat sambo. Combat sambo, you get punched.
My turn.
You get punched in the face. Yeah, it's your turn. So if you look at the throws that happen in combat sambo, there are a lot. There's fewer throws, and there's like a lot more basic throws, like basic hip throws or knee picks, whatever happening.
Deep analysis, draw 2.
Because I'm getting punched in the face, I have like all these other things to worry about. So a simpler technique is going to work. Same thing happens in MMA, like
Go ahead.
If you look at submissions that go on or guard or how guard is playing in MMA, is a lot. it's like a watered down. No, I want to say watered down, but it's like a simpler.
It becomes just a smaller pool of techniques.
It's a more pool of techniques we're gonna pull off. Now we're talking gi versus no gi. It's like like I can't grab lapels, blah blah. I'm gonna sack this to draw a card. The turn. Okay. My turn.
Yes.
Draw.
So I think with no gi, there tends to be the feeling like, oh, if someone's just big and strong and doesn't know anything, they can just rip out of it all because the sweat will let them. There's nothing to hold on to, and so you go, those no gi guys are just.
Yeah.
That's one idea. It doesn't sound like it was Keenan's argument because he's talking more about like the competitive scene.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna go that much reach. Look for 2 lanes. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
2 basics, 1 in my hand, 1 to play, and I mean.
But by the same token, I've seen, in the gi, because you can grab anything, I've seen people just hold on to garbage positions, garbage grips, but at least it slows the other guy down. You can argue you're doing something. So you can, you can get away with things you shouldn't get away with in gi because you can just grab anything.
Yeah, I mean, like even like something as simple as a leg lasso can be seen as a stolen position.
Oh yeah.
Or like now we have these guys playing lapel guards and just grabbing lapel and like wrapping it around their foot twice. It's like, how am I going to pass that guard if you're just like how am I going to break that connection?
Chop, you're good.
Chop. So these triggers. I get another one of these. One is going to go in my hand. One's going to come to play tapped. So I'll just put it here. Comes to play. It goes into my hand. I play a land for turn. I get another one of these.
And then does he grow?
When I sack
you sacrifice him.
So he should have one. It should be a 4/3 right now. And I'll try to play Titania.
Titania, priest, protector of Argoth. Titania's cool.
Every mess that comes back.
Okay.
And
Into play.
Goes into play.
She's even better than you thought.
Yeah, she is. Into play. So these triggers again. And go ahead.
All right. My response is here. I'm going to enter the royal, my commander.
So that's going to put it back in my hand. I'm going to draw a card.
Oh my goodness. So, gi versus no gi.
Mm-hmm.
There's less techniques, but you still think you can be as technical?
Yes, because I feel like you have to be more technical in different ways.
Yeah.
Because I remember once being told the idea that in the gi, you get more technical about how you escape things in some ways. We're just talking generally about getting out from under bad positions or out of arm bars. Because there's so much friction, because there's so many grips, you can't just go, yank your arm out. You got to figure out a way. But on the opposite side, because you can't hold people so easily, you can't just grab onto them and pull their lapel under their back or wrap your lapel around their foot or whatever it is, then you have to, in no-gi, really learn to control a person just based off of their body, off of their bones or their limbs. And there's a certain kind of tightness that you develop that I think is technical, that is not a skill I necessarily see developed the same way if you only do gi.
Yeah, I mean, you just take gi and no gi guys, and just if you have a guy that's like very grip dependent, have him roll with like a decent no gi guy that understands, like have a higher understanding of pummeling.
Yeah,
like how underhook and overhooks work, and how to get your underhooks and versus overhooks. Like that gi guy's in trouble,
Mm-hmm. Let's play Sakashima again. So 4 mana. It's going to come into play as a copy of your guy again.
Okay.
And I'm going to get back. Oh, do Forcible.
Let's
make a game happen.
Matt is trying to draw all the cards right now.
What else would I be doing? Mimic that.
Okay.
All right. Mimic that is going to get cast. 3 mana. Mimic that says whenever a creature dies, I can slip it under Mimic that, and then I can keep making copies from under there if I pay for them. So there's that. Go ahead.
So
you're gonna sack that fetch land in the Terramorphic Expanse. You're gonna save it for Omnath.
I think I'm gonna save it for Omnath. if he comes into play. Let's see. All right. I attempt to unmet again. So 4 mana, 7 mana, 9 mana.
You got it. Resolves.
Big Daddy unmet into play. So this guy, whenever a land comes into play, I can put one of these 5/5 guys.
How many 5s are there?
Too many. So it's 5/5 guys into play, and then when those guys die, I get to deal 3 damage to something.
And any elemental dies, you get to do it. So Omnath included, right?
I'm not included. This guy included.
Guess what?
This lady.
The art really does not look like an elemental. It's just a lady in a chair.
She looks like a druid. So I'll sack these 2.
Okay.
Get lands out of my deck.
All right. Lose life.
Lose life again. And while I get lands out, man,
here come the elementals.
There comes the elementals. So now this triggers, and she triggers as well. So I have 2 types of elementals.
This will be hard to keep track of.
Yeah, now I'm gonna get a little crazy.
So her ability is whenever one of your lands goes into your graveyard, you get a 5/3 elemental.
Yep.
So 5 power and 3 toughness. And so we gotta keep track of our elementals.
Yeah, so I got 2 of each. 5/5 and 5/3. The ones on the left are a little bit skinnier. And I got a land.
They've been cutting weight.
They've been cutting weight. Yep. And also this guy triggered twice, so I'm up to 5 of these. And man, what you rather train this day, gi or no gi? While my Matt thinks about his answer, what he prefers to train lately, gi or no gi. These guys came into play. I got my triggers here. This thing triggers since it's
how dead am I? Is the question.
Matt's buried dead between this thing triggering, this guy's coming into play. Then I can sacrifice this guys to deal more damage through him.
So we get 5 damage for each one because of this.
Yeah, so that's 25 damage. So it's 3 away.
1 more
already.
damage for each one you kill because of this.
Yes.
And then you get 5 more damage.
3 each of the lightning bolts.
Lightning bolts. Okay.
Yeah. So Matt's buried dead. So Matt's dead.
Matt's dead. And I could turn everything into a frog.
Hey,
but I didn't.
This close. And guys that actually play Magic, we're sorry. I know we played a little loose because we're way into the
this
conversation.
isn't competitive REL.
Yeah, it's not competitive REL. And what do you prefer to train lately?
What do I prefer to train? I train gi. I just have always enjoyed gi a lot. Not because of I think it's more technical, but just because I
even when it's this hot.
I'm from Florida.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, like I'm all like Florida man on my arm here.
Is it part of your vegan powers?
My vegan powers?
Like heat doesn't affect you the same way?
No. It's yeah, it's one of the powers you get. No, I'm just used to the Florida heat, the Florida sweat, so I don't care. I was training a lot of no-gi. I used to run the no-gi classes at our gym and at my old gym in Florida. Mm-hmm. So it being more or less technical or better or worse or more street certified had nothing to do with it. I always liked training both. I trained both since I started. What's his face?
What street certified though, in your opinion?
What's more street certified?
Yeah.
You gotta train everything if you want to be street certified because we wear jackets up here in the winter. So
yeah, I mean that's the one argument I understand when we have a YouTube channel. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably on it, and we post a lot of videos, and then like YouTube comments.
Oh man,
that's a rabbit hole in itself.
One?
The John Wick one, yeah. But then we have like all these crazy comments on it, and one of them was we never walk on the street because there was like a jacket grip. I'm like, you wear jackets, so you walk around naked,
yeah.
Or we get like the subreddit. I remember there's like a Lehigh. We live in the Lehigh Valley, like Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. This area is known as the Lehigh Valley. Somebody was asking about jiu-jitsu training in the Lehigh Valley. And I recommended or Gym Zombie, or if you want to do like more MMA, no-gi, go Ten Planet.
Yeah.
And then the one guy is, I think I'm going to go to Ten Planet because
more street ready.
Is more street, like no-gi is more street ready. Like people don't wear kimonos. I was like, yeah, they wear a lot of freaking jackets in the winter though.
Yeah. So I train gi, I just enjoy it. But I trained gi and no-gi since I started. Mm-hmm. And I think people who only ever do the one, when they finally make the shift, it's such a shock to them because the grips are all different. In the gi, they're all gone. If you switch to no-gi, and then and then the people who come over from no-gi are like, I
hate this thing. I'm smothered in it. And everyone just
Yeah.
pulls me down, and everyone grabs my sleeves. So I feel like if you do both all along, especially as a beginner, I don't know. I tend to start beginners in gi just because we do.
I think everything slows down. You slow him down.
Makes
a
them
little bit.
slow down a little bit. And here's what I'll say is I think that if you train in the gi, because you can grip in so many ways, it can teach you some interesting ideas about leverage that don't exist in no gi. Because you can hold so far out on someone's limb, and someone can hold so far out on your limbs, and they can affect you in these different ways because they can marionette puppet you. You learn about leverage in a different way, but the same is true if you flip it. When you have to start, instead of learning that you can just grab wherever, you have to understand underhooks, overhooks, things like Kimura grips and seatbelt grips better, because you can't just grab lapels or wrap lapels or hold sleeves. So in the end, I think it comes down to your mindset for if it's going to be more or less technical as a whole. So I'd have to read Keenan's article to see, but it sounds like he's saying the metagame, the choice of techniques that work in the rule sets right now make it so that there's a smaller amount of things happening in no-gi, and he finds them boring.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the one thing that I found really interesting now, I think we're running out of time, so it's the last tangent we go on, is if you look at the new techniques coming into play, both gi and no gi look very similar. I'm talking about specifically matrix, the whole matrix back system, or like the way people are like, swinging the leg over, trapping the back of the knee, and bringing the knee back outside, and like.
Yeah, it looks like so many of the entries into leg locks and calf crushes.
Yeah, like a lot of like the stuff we're seeing now, where people are more wary of the leg entanglements, staying out. So they're throwing like that calf crush hook almost, and then bringing it into it. And depending if you spin the wrong way, you end up very deep into a saddle.
Yeah,
and people are getting finished. Craig Jones has been catching people with this, and it's so cool to see. So, gi, no gi, just train, right?
That's pretty much the answer. Just train. I feel like if you get enough experience in between the two, you'll figure out which one you like more, and then you'll probably do that more. We got guys who pretty much train no-gi. I pretty much just train gi because I like it. But I don't really think it's going to be whether one's better or worse or more or less technical. It just all comes down to how you train it and how you think about it.
Yeah. And then my recommendation always is develop a game. You can do both, and then if you like one more than the other, you can start going down this rabbit hole and be more specific, or gi specific or no gi specific, little grips, little competition technique, whatever, like, down the road. But at the beginning, like meat and potatoes, really figure out your overhooks, your underhooks, how to, like, your close guard is supposed to work, how your half guard is supposed to work, how your butterflies are supposed to work. Figure out how to pass with underhooks and knee cuts and folding passes, and don't just rely on good old Toriando grips.
That's all I do.
That's all I do. Yeah.
I assume they're wearing gi pants and no gi.
Yeah. I mean, I was out in Savannah, and with the gi and no gi, and all the no gi rolls, everybody had gi pants on, but we started training gi, and then we went into no gi, and man, it's so hard
if it's available.
It's available, and like, you've been doing this for 12 years. We're like, oh, he has pants on. This is what my hands are supposed to do without me thinking about it. Yeah, I kept catching myself being the dirty.
I know a guy who got disqualified at a no-gi event because he could not stop himself from grabbing the pants.
Happens to the best of us. All right, let's wrap.
That's it.
If you're watching, thank you for your patience. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for watching.